Hi folks, I'm Nathan with Two Guys That Ride, and welcome to our ultimate guide video on the 2024 Chevrolet Equinox EV. And this is the RS trim level. Today, I'll be covering the driver's information and infotainment screens. I'll do a general overview, show you how to access information, and do a deep dive. Let's get started.
Today, we're working with our friends at Mankato Motors Chevrolet in Mankato, Minnesota.
All right, so it is a really nice 11-inch screen, and there are several ways to configure it. Much of it comes from the infotainment screen rather than controls on the steering wheel, but there are many things that you can do just from the steering wheel. And there are several basic views that you can just flip through. So on the right side of the steering wheel, you have this button here. You've got this button, which can be pushed up or down, and then you've got the media button. So using this button, I can toggle through the main views of the driver's dashboard. So we got that one, then you got this one, and then we have this, which Google Maps is not, I don't have a signal, so it's not displaying anything, but that would be your navigation, which is just really, really sweet. And then, of course, on the left side, you've got all your basic driving information. Click it again, we get driver assistance screen here, but again with an information window on the left and an information window on the right. And then this is more like a calm screen that is displaying minimalistic information, yet still giving you your speedometer, and your on the bottom left you've got your distance to empty or until you run out of charge. And then I'm clicking again, and we're back to here. In addition to that button I was pushing, you can change information over here on the left, but to do that you need to be in the infotainment screen. And on the infotainment screen, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the vehicle status icon, and right now it's set to tire pressure, but if I switch to, say, energy usage, click on that and then say add to driver display, now you see energy usage. Now if I want to do energy efficiency, I can click on that and say add to driver display, and that changes. Okay? Or I can go all the way back, go to trip information. I can click on trip information here, say add to driver display, and that changes. And I can click on current trip, add to driver display. Okay? But that is how you get that window to change. It's not from the steering wheel. Okay, to get those things in there. So that's what you can do with the left screen. Moving over to the middle, that's static, and what you have in this particular window is you have the percentage of charge left in your battery. Okay, and then over on the far right of that speedometer, digital speedometer, you've got whether you're using power or regenerating power. And that gauge will go up. It'll be orange when it goes up. It'll be green when it goes down. So if you're one pedal driving, when you let off the pedal, it tends to go into the green. When you step on the pedal, it goes into the orange. All right. And then over on the far right, you've got media and phone and turn-by-turn navigation if you're not in the navigation screen. Okay, down below that, of course, you got your gear selectors. We do have a low tire pressure warning, but literally we are 1 pound under the other tires, so I'm just going to ignore that for now. But that is why that is on there. And then, of course, you got your seatbelt indicator that no one's buckled, and the rear seat is on occupied. In order to control the media, you're going to press the musical note button, and then you can select your source. And wherever you want it, you can just click it. I'll go back to FM here for a minute. Okay, now behind the steering wheel, you do have, in addition to your regen button that's on the top, this is on the left-hand side of the steering wheel, on the back of it, you do have a favorites button that'll skip you right through your favorites. And then on the back of the right side of the steering wheel, you've got a volume knob that you won't see changing in the dashboard, but you will see it in the infotainment screen. Okay, so that's how you can get to all that. If a phone call comes in, you can just click the voice command button, just a quick click and release, and it will answer. To hang up, you're just going to press this button. To access your phone, which I don't have one connected right now, but if you go up, then it will access your phone in that screen. If you push down, it is a mute for the stereo. Press it again and it unmutes. You can see the little volume with the X mark on it. Okay, and then the last button here, of course, is the heated steering wheel button. Now, over on the far left, you have got, of course, cruise control on, cruise control off. You have got... Okay, over on the far left side of the steering wheel, we have, this does have a adaptive cruise control. So this is your on and your off button. Push it on, push it to go on, push it to go off. This is your cancel button. Once your adaptive cruise is set, this is your gap setting button. So you can go up or down with that to increase or decrease it. And then this one, of course, is Super Cruise. Okay. So that's not available right now, but this does have Super Cruise built into it. Okay, and then of course down is set, up is resume. Now, should you not want adaptive cruise control, you can. Once cruise control is turned on, you need to make sure that little symbol is showing up on the dashboard. You can see it kind of blinking there because I'm turning it on and off. Press and hold the cancel button for the cruise control. Okay, now I had just regular cruise control, no adaptive cruise control. To turn adaptive back on again, make sure cruise control is on, and then hold that cancel button, and now adaptive cruise is back engaged. When the lights are on, you do have a brightness and dimness rotary switch that is actually in the dashboard below the left air vent. And you can, brighten or dim your screen from there. Other things real quick, your gear selector is on your right side of the steering wheel, very similar to Mercedes. Drive is just a pull forward and down, reverse is a pull forward up, neutral is just pull forward, and park is when you push the button at the end. And then front and rear windshield wipers and blinkers are on the left stock. So that's basically it from the driver's information screen. Let's move over to the infotainment screen. So the infotainment screen is a whopping 17.7 inch as measured diagonally. It is a large screen, and for the most part they've really taken good use of that space in terms of like the navigation and stuff. So here's how it's laid out. Basically, you've got some shortcuts right here, where this one will allow you to actually turn the vehicle off if you want. This one allows you to set a timer that where your battery will remain on for up to 60 minutes. This one is your one pedal driving, normal level. Here you can go to set level, and I'll show you another spot you can do that. Okay, we'll X out of there. This one brings you to some basic controls, and this is like your dome light switch. However, you can just reach up and click, which I like, and you can turn your dome lights on from there. Your power window lockout, instead of having a lockout switch right on your door, you now have it in your infotainment screen. You do have a shortcut to your camera. This is where I wish they would use a little bit more of this beautiful screen than they do, but the picture is good, and what they offer as far as the cameras is good, and I'll get to that a little bit later. Traction control, okay, you can have that on or off, okay, and then actually yellow is on. Auto high beams, you can activate those right there, and then this one does have auto park assist, so you can exit a space or you can park. Okay, and then you just follow the directions on the screen. So that is really fun. That is really neat, and it's fun to use. It's a little heart thumping if you've never done it before, because it gets very close to other cars, but doesn't touch them. So if you have a problem parallel parking or getting out of a parallel park situation, this will help you. All right, now go back here. This is a shortcut to your lights. So you have off, auto lights, parking lamps, and then low beams. All right. So that's what that is over there. Okay. Over here on the top here, you have shortcuts to the main part of the screen. So this is home. This is what it is, and there are two sets of windows that you just swipe back and forth on. This is a split window. Right now, Google Maps would be showing here. It doesn't, as I don't have a connection. But the cool thing is, you see this window here? You've got, well, I have to click here, I guess. I can see tire pressure, media, and then here I can have two other things. Okay, this would be like phone and text. So if I click on the edit button, I can decide what's going to go over there. So let's just say I put trip information in. Now instead of having Google Maps, I have got trip information. I can switch that back. I can have audio there instead if I want, or I can go back and I can have the maps in there. Okay, and then these three, if I wish I could swipe it, but you just have to push a button. But it's nice that they give you that choice. So split screen with several very common sense combinations, in my opinion. Okay, these are grayed out because my phone's not connected. I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. Okay, so that was home button, that's split screen. This takes you to the media. So under media, let's just talk real quick about how to change channels, how to save a favorite, how to change sound settings, and how to manage your favorites. So delete them if you don't want them. Rearrange them, perhaps. Okay, so on Sirius XM, which we happen to be on, of course, you can just hit the channel button, and then you can just scroll through, okay? There we go. We'll just go to that one. You can go backwards if you want, go forwards. You can look at a list of different genres under music, under sports, under news, whatever, okay? So if I want to go to rock music, now I get, you know, and I love the way it comes out in color. I really, really, really like that. That's really nice. Okay, so I'm going to go back again. All right, so that is how you're going to select a channel. How you're going to save a channel is you're just going to click and hold, and now it's saved. Okay, and your favorites will include any AM, FM, or Sirius XM favorites. They're all together. And whatever you save on here, that the button on the behind the left side of the steering wheel is what this will toggle between. So now the question is, how do you adjust sound? Well, you go to this gear setting, and you go to sound, and here it is. Okay, so you can just drag this. Okay. And then you can go to fade and balance, and that again is just hand controlled, and you can recenter it doing that. Now, I said you could manage radio favorites, so here we go. So how do I reorganize? Like, I want to put this one first. Well, I just grab it here, slide it up. How do I delete it? Hit the trash can, and there it is. That simple. Okay. Let's go back twice, and I just want to show you that FM and AM look the same. So here's FM. The only difference is you don't have the play button. And you can go in here and you can actually dial by numbers, okay? And then you can look at that list that's on the side there. You can press this to go through if you want. Otherwise, it all works the same. If I go here and I go to AM, it's going to look exactly the same. So once you know how to operate one, you can operate all of these. So let's go over to navigation now. The map isn't appearing. However, the other buttons are working. So over here, if I click on the gear wheel, I can make some settings. I can have traffic on or off, guidance audio. I can say I always want it to mute, alerts only, or unmute. Okay. Right here, I have route options. So this is where I can avoid highways, tolls, and ferries. And then every time you program a route, it'll follow those rules. All right, down here, this does operate on offline maps. Okay, so if for some reason you don't have connection, Google Maps will still operate. And this is, of course, I should say, a Google built-in system. Okay, you're going to have a trial period where you get all that stuff for free, but eventually you're going to have to pay for a subscription to continue using Google Maps, the Google Assistant, and the Play Store, okay, where you download apps from. Those three things would disappear if you decided not to pay a subscription fee. Now, you have to check with your local dealer as to the price of those because they vary frequently, and by the time this video gets out, the prices will probably already change. So, but check with it. Right here, you could just mute. Really nice if they do that. But again, remember that steering wheel control I showed you that's on the far right? You can just mute everything right there. Now, this gives you your orientation to your map. So you have north, up, perspective, overview, and we're back to perspective. This, of course, will zoom. Okay? You can, when the map's working, you can really nicely just pinch and zoom on things, and it works really well. All right? All right. Up here it tells you whose profile we're using. Right now we're under a guest profile. It says there's a notification, so we'll look on here. Tire pressure is low. Okay. And then you can schedule service, find nearby dealers, more info. But I'm only, again, a pound under the other tires, so I'm just going to ignore that for now. All right. So let's go back here. This is your cell phone signal. Not positive what that one does. Someone knows, they can leave that in the comments below. This is your clock, of course, and then your outside ambient temperature. Now, I'll show you this right now because it's easy to do, but anytime you need to adjust the time, just click on the clock itself and it takes you right there. Instead of jumping through different menus and apps and, you know, a lot of clicks, you can just go to it right there. So the next icon up here is the phone, but we'll get back to that in a minute. So over here, you've got these shortcut controls. Down here, you've got your basic climate control buttons, which always stay up here. So you can adjust temperature. There's no click and slide, but you do have the rotary knob down here that does all that for you. Okay? You got 3-stage heated seats on both sides for the driver and passenger. And then you've got your basics. Recirculatory, you can turn auto HVAC on. You can have the air point down to your feet or at your head or the defrost. And then fan speed. Okay? Now, but there is actually a climate button. If I go back to home and I go over here to climate, there's actually a climate button here where now you can click and drag for the temperature. It is a single zone climate control. And then, of course, you can, it's just better graphics, I think, right here. And then fan speed, and then some basic buttons right there. So, if I click on the gear wheel, this is where you can make some settings. Now, your auto fan speed, how fast do you want that to run? Low, medium, high? You can set that. Heated seats on startup? Yes or no? And it will automatically sense. If it's hot out, it's not going to turn on your heated seats, right? Even if that's on. Auto defog, you know, and those are nice things to have, especially when you got the remote start right on the key fob on this one. You can turn those on before you go, and especially if it's parked outside, and windshield will be clear, and the seats will be warm when you hop in. Auto rear defog, you can turn that on as well. And then eco climate, if you want to save a little bit on battery power. So that is what the climate button does there. The next thing then is to show you how you can customize this. So you can rearrange any of these apps, including put one from one page to the other. So I, for instance, am going to take this camera button and I'm going to move it over here. It's just that easy. And then up here, you notice they call this the application tray, there are 6. However, this can take up to 8. So I can add 2 more, and there I'm at. Now I've got this up here all the time, so when I need a camera, and you can turn that on while you're driving too. I mean, don't want to get distracted, but so that is how you're going to customize things. As far as over here, you're not going to be able to change that. Those are preset. Now, I told you that when we got to the infotainment screen, I would show you how I got the extra information into the driver's screen. And what I did is I went to vehicle status. And you simply click on any one of these 3. And like this one is just one screen, so I just say click add to driver display. And now my tire pressure is showing in the driver's screen. Some of them have more than that, so like under energy usage, I can click here and I can add to driver display, okay? But then I've got a few extra things by clicking on them. For instance, here, it tells me what the climate and fast charge prep is showing me in this graphic and what driving is and what remote climate is. Okay, so there's driving, there's remote climate. So it's telling you, giving you a little definition of what that display is all about. Okay, energy efficiency. Okay, add to driver display. So this is how I got that into the driver screen. You can also just have it right here. Okay, we'll go back again. And then, of course, you have trip. Now, the cool thing about trip is that this is where you can reset trip 1 and trip 2. Okay, so that's where you can reset that. You don't reset it from the driver screen. And if I look at current trip, I can add that to display too. So it kind of gives you an option to have things here or to have them display in your driver screen. If I click on the plus sign here, this is just going to give me tire pressure. Over here, energy efficiency. So basically the same information I went through over here, but it's just on one screen, one click, quick click. Okay, so that's what vehicle status does. Drive modes. There is no button to switch drive modes, no rotary dial, no push button. You have to go into here, and your choices are Sport, Normal, Snow and Ice, and then in my mode, you can customize. You notice that the pencil clicks up, and under here, you can set your steering to normal or sport just by clicking on it. Do you want your brake feel to be normal or sport? Acceleration feel, relaxed, normal, or sport? Motor sound, okay, and then you can save all that when you're done, and you'll have a My Mode. But you have to go in there to get it. Let's talk about the camera. Now, if I just hit reverse for a second, the camera pops right up overhead. And I've got dynamic swivel guidelines here. Okay? And it's a very good picture, very clear. And I love the bird's eye view. And you can see, yeah, I love that. I just wish it were a little bit bigger. Okay, overhead, I do like that. Keeps this picture, but then it shows you an overhead in the back because I'm reversing, right? If I put it into drive, it switches the camera to the front, which is really cool. Nice when you're parking. I'll put it back in park a minute. I'm going to go back to the camera. That was overhead. Now, if I want to go to side, okay, I can have the overhead. I can look at basically from the bottom of the driver's door, straight forward, see there's my tire, or from the passenger's door, and I can see my tires turning. So, pulling up next to a curb, you can see where it is. There you go. Okay, so that is really cool. Now, if I click here, I get the back view. So there's standard, there's overhead, there's side in the back, right? So that's the back tires. And then I can get a hitch guide. So this one switches between front camera and rear camera, but just being in driver reverse will do the same thing. All right, so then you do have some options here. If depending on what part of the camera, whether you're in the forward camera, rear camera, hitch view or not, you do have some extra options that you can get. For instance, if you don't want the top-down view, you can get a slightly larger camera picture. Okay, so that is a kind of a handy deal. Okay, so that is your camera. All right, Google Assistant. It'll control media, text messaging, navigation, and climate. So if I just click on it, can't connect. But that's how it connects, and then it would say, I could say increase the temperature. I'm warm. I'm cold, and it would, it understands normally spoken sentences. All right. Play Store. When you're connected, this is where you can go to download apps. You'd want to sign in with your account. Charging information. All right, so this can do DC fast charge as well as an AC slower charge. Charge now, and it's real simple. You just plug it in. They can now use Tesla chargers, or at least a lot of them. So you do have to buy an adapter for that, and you can get that through GM. Okay, and then you can say charge to whatever level. So GM actually recommends that unless you need the full charge for a longer trip, that you charge it to 80%. Okay? But this is where you set that. Okay? And it'll say when it's going to be ready by. Now, if you want to say charge later, they made this so simple. This is where you set the time. Okay? And then you can say you want to precondition the battery so that it charges better. I mean, I just think that's so cool. Now, under here, if you sign into your My Chevrolet account, you can now find charging stations and then start charging directly from the charging app. Okay? And then, of course, you can sync favorite radio stations and routes from the mobile app to your phone as well. Calendar here, you can, if you like, I know exactly when I'm going to have my vehicle charged, I want it on off-peak hours, that kind of stuff. You can actually go in here and set a location, follow the directions on the screen. I can't go through the whole thing here, but you can actually create a schedule. And then, so you plug in your car and leave it, and then, at 2 o'clock in the morning, it turns on and starts charging. That's when the electricity is cheaper. So that's where you can do that. And then finally on the gear wheel, okay, you can set a home charge location right here. You can set up notifications like, do I want to be notified if my charge cord is unplugged? I'd say yes. Charge power loss alert. Okay, power went out in the house, whatever. And charge status feedback. You'll get those notifications right on your phone. Preconditioning temperature, you're going to set that right there. So lots of ways you can customize how you're going to charge your vehicle on a regular basis. All right, I'm going to go back here. Does have Amazon Alexa. This does have ambient lighting. I'll show you a quick picture. That's just really cool. But if I go into here, I can change some things. I can change the brightness. I do have to use the arrows. If I don't want ambient lighting at all, I can just click there and it turns it off. If I want to customize it, then I can go over here, okay? And this is, when I do this now, it's going to unlink it from drive mode, and I can pick my colors, okay? But it's really neat. It's just a fun little thing. And actually at night, one of the nice benefits is it gives you a little bit of light, kind of around some of your control switches, which is nice. This is that auto park assist. So this is just the icon on the screen, but I've already showed you this. There was the climate button I showed you. This is where you're going to set Wi-Fi and hook up to it. You can hook to your home Wi-Fi if you want. Okay, you can share your hotspot data if you want. Okay, let's swipe over. This is audio, which we were already on. Another icon for maps, which we had up there. Phone controls there. We covered that. That's the My Chevrolet app. And of course, we have podcasts and news if you want. Okay? So, and then I was going to show you how to move something from this screen to the last one. So if I just click Maps, there I go. And of course, it's moved something from this screen over to here, which is the Wi-Fi hotspot. Okay. Let's go back to home for a minute. Let's take a look at settings. So, under connections, you can take a look at Wi-Fi and phones. Under vehicle, audio settings, we've already seen that in another location. Drive mode customization, okay, I took you through that. Teen driver, you can set that up, and that'll do some basic things like create a geofence, basically an electronic fence, that if your kid drives past that area, it'll notify you on your phone. It can give you a report card. You can limit the amount of volume the music will turn up to. You can also limit top end speed and some different things like that. So that is just a really neat feature. All right, rear seat reminder, buckle to drive. Right now that's turned off. If it's turned on, you have to buckle your seatbelt before you can actually put it in drive. Okay. Super Cruise lane change. Automatic, turn signal activated or off. That's your settings, and it gives you a nice description right there as to what it'll do. Climate and air quality, Okay, these are things you can turn on or off. Okay, we saw that once before. Collision and detection system. This is loaded with all sorts of systems, and you can customize them. First of all, you can set the alert type. Right now, it's set to safety alert seat vibrations. You can set it to beeps if you want. I like that because it's unusual. Beeps we hear all the time, and so you may not pay attention to them. This vibrates your driver's seat. Just enough that you notice, like, huh? Okay. Automatic emergency braking. Do I want it off? Do I want just to be alerted, or do I want alert and brake? And I definitely recommend you leave that on alert and brake. All of these are the same, okay? I'm not going to go through all of them, but intersection collision braking. Off, alert, alert, and brake. It's very easy to tell how to customize them once you click on them. And then they have a couple where it's just on or off. Adaptive cruise go notifier, off or on. Side bicyclist alert. No, I'd leave that one on. There you go. So, very easy to adjust, but there are just a ton of safety systems on here, which is just awesome. Okay? Comfort and convenience. Don't like the volume of the chimes? You can turn them down to 0. All right, power rear gate opening, maximum height, custom height, or off. Hands-free exterior storage access, you can turn that on. And so the way this is supposed to work is if you say open, like open only, when you approach the rear of the car and you have the key fob on you, it should automatically open the door, the back door for you, which is really nice. You don't have to kick underneath the car to activate something. Okay, power door locks. So here under power door locks, you have auto door unlock. So, and what they're telling you basically is that when you shift into park, it will unlock doors. Do you want all the doors to unlock or just the driver's door? Okay. Then we have delayed door lock, and what this is designed to do is to help you like recuperate. Oops, I left something in the car. I got to open it up again quick. Basically, when you click the lock button on the interior of the car, not the remote, but on the interior of the door, you click the lock button once and you close the door. It's actually going to delay locking the door for a little bit, just in case you need to reopen it. Okay. If you press the lock button for a second time, like lock, it's going to automatically lock it right away. Okay, but we've all walked away from our car going, oh shoot, I locked it, I forgot this. It's still open, right? As long as that delayed lock is on. Okay. Remote lock and unlock. Okay, these are all the basic settings here, and you can it's either an on or an off. Okay. Or you click here and you can say, well, when I hit the lock button, I want lights and horn, lights only, or horn only, or off completely. All right. So we won't go through all those, but just a ton of things there. Okay. Let's go back here. We had date and time, which you can get to here, but I showed you another way to get through it there. The display. Now, for the instrument cluster, traffic sign recognition can be turned on or off. Turn-by-turn graphics can be turned on or off. I'd leave those on. They're really neat. So if I turn off the display, I double tap anywhere on this main part of the screen, and it comes back. Now, this is also where you can set the brightness of the screen. Right now it's set to auto, so during the daytime it's going to be a brighter screen, and at night it's going to dim it. Okay? If you want it always bright, you can switch it to day, or always dark, you want to switch it to night. Sounds in the car. Maximum volume at startup. We've adjusted that. We looked at that before. That was the chime volume. Audible touch feedback. That's that little click you hear when I touch the screen. That can be turned off right there. Go back here. Accessibility. I can have captions on if I want. And I can set the text size, and I can set the caption style. I can either set it on my own or tell whatever app I'm using that will set the captions for me in case I want captions. Assistant and voice. You can wake this up with a, hey Google, cancel. Right? But the assistant of voice can use text from the screen, okay? And it can use an image of the screen. So that is really cool feature there that you can adjust. Under system here, this is where you change the basics, the languages here. Just click on what you want. Keyboard and speech, the different units, okay? US to metric, okay? So if I do that, then my speedometer on the dashboard changes to kilometers per hour, okay? Reset options, okay? I can reset vehicle settings, reset app preferences, or restart in safe mode in case you're having some problems. All right. So, yeah, and then updates. This does get over-the-air updates. So the way it's set up right now, it'll download updates in the background, and then updates via Wi-Fi when available. And they'll download in the background, so you'll never know what's happening. And then when the car is stopped, then it will actually do the update. And it doesn't do the update until the car's in park and off. That way it's not all of a sudden your driver's screen goes blank or something, right? As sometimes it updates, things do. So just be aware of that. If you download it, the update won't happen until you're parked. So then another thing I want to show you real quick is how to hook a phone. So I'm just going to go here to phone, and I'm going to go to manage phones, add a phone, and then I'm going to turn go into my Bluetooth settings, and I'm going to look for Chevrolet 3512. So now my phone is connected via Bluetooth. Now, there is no Android Auto, there is no Apple CarPlay on this unit. GM has gone away from that. So what you're going to get is traditional Bluetooth. So you're going to have to go to your phone just to select the app you want and hit play, and then it will come through here. Okay, if I go under options here, when this is on, your phone is the priority source for media when connected to the vehicle. And then if you click this on, then your phone will be the first to connect when the vehicle starts in case you have multiple phones paired. You could also disconnect or forget phone there. So I'm just going to go back here. And now if I can go down here, I can look at the keypad, I can look at favorites, I can look at contacts. I didn't allow any of my contacts to sync because it's not my car. But if you would want to do that, and as part of the pairing process, and then it would, all those would show up here. Okay, if you go to the gear wheel, you can click on your phone and go back to that screen. Active call view when answering a call, you can get that up so it pops up. Privacy only show call alerts in the driver's cluster, and then you can do the contact order. You want first name first or last name first. Okay, with the phone, it's only going to do media and then, of course, phone calls and texting if you want. You can set that up. But it's not going to be Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So if you want to see just your basic phone, this is where you go. You can get your contacts, favorites, keypads, etc. And then if you go to media, you'll have a Bluetooth option. I got to go backwards a few steps here. Okay, so now you have Bluetooth lit up, and this will be your phone. And honestly, it's just like old school Bluetooth used to be. So you go on your phone, you select, say, Pandora, you find your station, click play, put it back in here, and then you can play it through the system. You're not going to really see much, but you'll have a little icon for it. That is it for the driver's information and the infotainment screen on the new 2024 Chevrolet Equinox EV. And this is the RS trim level. We hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching.